So I'll give you a very quick demo and then I'll show you how we do the storytelling, if that's okay. Cool, okay. So we have our city on the table. Now the idea of the city is that it mimics real life, so we can show any customer, any industry and any of our software within this scenario. So if our customer was a retailer, we can go to the retail building. If they work in residential housing, solar, energy, ports, airports, hospitals, sports and stadiums, banking, you know, the list goes on. We have everything in here to be able to mimic real life. And the idea is, instead of like a PowerPoint where you click through from slide to slide to slide, you're actually going to walk through a day in the life of this customer. So we would start in their retail, then we would go to their warehouse or their manufacturing site to look at how purchases made in the store automatically affect automatic production runs based on quantity and all that kind of good stuff. But the first thing we have to do within this room before we start to make this customer specific and tell a story is we have to actually go into the city. So if you look to your left, we will fly into the SAP city. So just so you're aware, all the images do move.
Welcome to SAP City.
Okay, so now we've landed into the city. So if you look on the table, you can see behind you there is the museum, and we have the museum here, for example. So we're actually inside the city now, and the idea is that we will take the customer on a journey of their company and all the different things that we want to show them. So for example, in the story I'm going to show you today, the customer, who's you guys in this sense, you're a fashion retailer. So I'm going to say, well, the first part we're going to start today is we're actually going to the store. So when I click on the retail building, you'll see that we're now outside the retail store. But then most importantly, they're a fashion retailer. So as you can see on the table here, I have all different stores that are in my retail mall. So cafes, supermarkets, sports shops, electronics, all that good stuff. But they're a fashion retailer. So I'm now going into the fashion store, for example. You have to ignore the little hand mouses on there. I'm doing some updates last night and they clearly left them. So we're now inside a fashion store, and we can actually start the story that we want to tell the customer now. Now this is the important bit for today, because we're training you guys down how to use the room. One of the biggest parts about this room is how we do storytelling. So as you can see here, I've got some assets, and this is what we're going to show you how to upload these today. These are just images, effectively, but they're things that you can make in PowerPoint and then just save as images and upload them into the system. And it's all about telling the story around what this company might look like in the future. So what's the vision? So we've worked with the customer to come up with a joint vision. So in this case, it's become an employer of choice where employees feel engaged and feel that they belong. But we know that they've had some challenges. So what are the challenges that they're facing? No insight into business metrics, and an ineffective performance process. So this is kind of stuff that we're going to get you guys to make today. So instead of just coming into a customer and saying, we know you've got a problem with warehouse management, this is what warehouse management is. It's let's look at the backstory, let's look at where they want to be, look at where their problems are, and make sure we use a very storytelling approach to using the room. Then we go into, so right, what are we going to show you today? So this room is a demonstration room, so now we need to show the demo. So within the CMS, you can put in all the types of pictures that we've just put in there, PNGs or JPEGs. You can put in videos, so kind of good stuff. So if you've got videos that work with your...
This was a vision to restructure the two craters Q6, Q7 to integrate it.
And you can sort of jab in and out like that, and it'll pause and...
part of the city of...
play the video. Okay, so you can use videos, you can use pictures, but most importantly, you can put in the URLs for your demo systems as well. So I click on success factors and give it a second or two. The live success factor system comes up on the table, and as you can see, it's mirrored to the wall behind you as well. So then you can start to give your actual demo. So you're in Lexi's store, you've talked about how she wants to investigate the turnover, and this is the issue that she wants to get to grips with, and now at the exact same point we can say, right, well, this is how you're going to tackle this now. So live software demo in the customer's environment, tackling the problems that they've got, showing them a glimpse into the future of how their business could run. The one thing we don't have yet, just so you know, is we are putting, I think it's tomorrow, we're putting the wall touch for the URLs onto here as well, so I can stand here and click on the URL, it'll actually drive the demo from the wall instead of having to drive it from the table. But for today, you'll just need to drive it from the table if that's okay. But this is still, move this around if I want to move it and put stuff somewhere. The other features you've got with this is at the very top here, you can see the little camera icon on the web browser that we've got here. So if I got to a certain position, let's say, and it was an important element that I wanted to keep a track of, I can take a picture of it, and it then will appear in my pictures here, and it'll pop up there. And as I go along my demo, I can keep doing that, and I could then say, right, well, this was an important part that I wanted to show you, so I'm just going to leave this.
Come on, the pedestrian street.
I need to get this out of the way there. I can say, right, well, I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave this down here. And then I might go to another bit, do another screenshot, bring it round here, another one, so I can start to build up what I've shown you. It's just another option that you've got. Some people like to use it, some people don't use it at all. But it's an option that you've got. Controls with the table that I'll just quickly go through. As you can see, I mentioned pictures, videos, URLs and PDFs, which no one uses, so you can ignore that one. And to get this control, to get anything that you're working on the walls, it's orange is off and green is on. So it's on now, it's disappeared. I click it back, it's back on again. It's quite simple, yeah. To get this control wheel up, it's just hold down on the table and it comes up, and then you can click through them. To get rid of it, just hold down somewhere else. Okay, really easy to use. The other things on this wheel to notice, like when we played a video, for example, then
it was clear that
quite loud.
There must be some.
There's a mute button on here as well that will just mute any sound coming through the speakers if we want. Okay. Or you can just take it off if you want to cut it, obviously. There's a refresh button that will actually restart the presentation, so if any point you want to go back to the start, I think they've taken that off today, and they have taken that off today, so you can ignore that one. But that will take you back to the very start where we had all the clouds, so you're just back to start your presentation. For any reason you need to, we can turn the lights on in here. You should never really need to do this, but it's there if you need to. And the door icon, unbelievably, opens the door. So we have voice control in here as well, so a bit like with Alexa, where you say Alexa is the wake word. The wake word for the room is I would like to see, and then whatever your element is called. So if I said I would like to see drive retail,
Q6, Q7 is more than shopping.
So you can do that for any asset that's in here. So if you say I'd like to see Lexi, if you just called that Lexi, then her persona would pop up, so it gives you a kind of neat way of doing it. It's a bit gimmicky. The real reason that that's in there is for when we're doing stuff with Copilot, so we can integrate it smoothly and you don't have to click on the 5 other things and grab a microphone. They're already integrated into the ceilings and all that kind of good stuff. Okay. The city itself. So one more thing actually before going to the city. What you've seen so far is you've seen a couple of different scenes. So when we had the clouds at the start, that's what we class as a scene. So if you think of it like a movie, like the opening of a movie, you have a scene, then you have another scene, then you have another scene. That's exactly how you build your presentations in here. So this scene that we're in now has a background of a fashion store. But if I clicked on retail again, that's now another scene that's showing. So if I click on my assets here, you see I've got nothing in this one because I didn't attach any of my assets to this scene. If I then go into cafe, again, this is another scene. And if I click on here, I've now got some stuff to be able to start to show to people. Okay, so that's how it works. You've got a presentation, which is kind of like a big empty bucket. Then within the presentation, you've got scenes. And for each scene, you've got a bunch of assets, as we call them, that allow you to show different things. And as I said at the start, it's always best practice to try and keep your demo wheel, as we call it, on almost every scene, because that's your show, tell, show sort of part of pre-sales, always coming back to that and knowing that that's the part that you want to show. The other element in here that you need to be aware of from a demo point of view is that you can demo with your mobile phones. So there is a network that will put you on here next time we come back in to do the demo later on. And if you can all see my phone here, when you just go to screen mirror, there are 10 projectors in here to screen mirror onto, and the projectors are 1, 2, all the way around to 10. So if I pick 3, it would be that one there, and then my phone's mirrored to that wall. So then you can give any demo with your iPad or your iPhone on the wall as well. So when you're preparing your presentations later on, think about what you want to show as a demo. You're only going to have to present for like 5 minutes, so it's just really you just want to do 3 or 4 scenes max, like the clouds, the fly-in, maybe the retail store, maybe the fashion. You'll see all the other ones in there later. And just think about what demo you might show, whether it's Concur or you talk about Twitter integration or whatever you want to show, right? But you've got the ability to use URLs in here or show your iPhone or your iPad or any demo that you've got on there. Everything making sense so far? Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah?
In your experience, how long it takes to do a presentation here?
So I've used this. I'm one of the team that has been building this thing right from the very start. So I've used it a lot. So I can build like a 2-hour presentation in here in, an hour or so, like less time than I can build a PowerPoint, to be honest, because I've used it enough. So it's a very easy tool to use. So once you've done it a couple of times, it's quite quick, and you have a lot of collateral that you can reuse. It's just like building a presentation in PowerPoint. The first one that you do, if you're building a PowerPoint from scratch, it's going to take you 3 or 4 hours to do. Then the second one that you do, you're going to reuse loads of it, and you're used to doing it and how to do the animations and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't take long to learn. The tool's pretty easy, to be completely honest. Next thing, so we've talked about all the different scenes. So you saw when I clicked on fashion or cafe, it changes. The city has 95 or 96 clickable points for you to choose from, so depending on what your demo is. So the retail obviously was one of them. This is a museum where we can put in stuff around Leonardo or customer, for example. This is an actual customer's environment. So one thing I mentioned earlier, when we actually put the customer environments in, we've got a little GoPro kit where we can go out and film the customer's environment and have it in for the next day. So this was filmed on a Thursday at the customer, and then it was in the room on the Friday. So we can really make it about them and show our software in their environments. We're not going to do that today.
It needs a special camera or not? Or
if there's in the server room behind here, which I'll show you in just a minute, there is a little. It's actually 4 GoPros in a 3D printed rig that you just click go on the GoPros and you just leave it. Like these 2 guys here, the guys doing the filming, so they clicked it, made a coffee, and then came back to it later. So this was the customer's innovation lab, and we did a Leonardo session in their own innovation lab, which was very well received and pretty cool. But you've got a load of clickable items in the city, so you've got stuff around residential, and then the building itself are clickable, so when I click on the building, that's an item that could change the scene, and then we've got all the other ones that could change the scene as well. Residential, a whole bunch of stuff in there, solar, energy, oil rigs, and in the training we go through later we'll show you all the different things that you can click on. Airports for stuff like sea rail, cargo, manufacturing. So for example I click on process and we're into another one of our customer sites. So this is a live 360 of a process, the manufacturing site. And this is where, for example, you might want to build up some of your story to say, well, you could have, currently the customer struggles because they can't see what's actually in the packaging, and they want to understand what's in all the different elements in the warehouse, so they have to go back to a computer. And this is actually a real life example. They have to go back over to the side of the warehouse, go to a computer, type in the numbers and come back. And so one of the pre-sales built a presentation, we said, well, actually you could use something like this that would scan it, bring up the information on the tablet, and then they said there's more software you can look at, so then you can look at the material coverage. And so they're actually bringing up how the person would do their job in the environment that they would work in. That'll make sense, yeah? Cool. So we'll go through all the different clickable items that you've got in the city. You don't have to use the clickable items. So if there's something that you want to show that just doesn't fit into the city for whatever reason, then, or we don't have something in there yet for you to click on, then that's fine. You can give it a custom name and everything will appear at the top. So when I went into the cafe earlier, I went into there and then the cafe, I could have quickly just gone cafe at the top there. So everything, you've got these quick links at the top. So an example of that is someone came up with a really nice idea about doing a game show in here, which will make sense when I explain why they did it. They produced this game show called The Success Factor. You see what they did there? Where you can see the podium behind us here. They got 3 mobiles and gave them to the customers, and they made them stand next to the podiums, and they mirrored the mobiles to the thing. And then she stood at the front, and someone went, right, there's your task, create a lead request. And then everyone on the phone had to create a lead request, and then she had a big button at the back that said go. And then it was like a race to see who could create the lead request first. But it was such a nice way of doing it, because we weren't standing in front of them saying the user interface is really nice, it's really fast, it's really intuitive. we were saying, right, who can make a leave request the quickest, and they get hands-on with the tool, they're using it, it's a bit of fun, but most importantly, they're using the software. So this is something that doesn't really fit into the city so much that way. We don't have a game show building, so to speak, but it was a really nice way of being able to, you know, create something fun and cool with the environment that we've got. So if when you build your presentations later, if you think there's a good way to use the game show 360.
So is the position remembered? So for the podiums, it remembered where you'd put them?
Yes, so we'll go to that when, actually I'll show you that, it's a good question. So this is the tool that you'll mainly be using this afternoon, which is the content management system. So how it works with all the positions of the asset is you just upload the assets and then you say, well, I want to add it to this. If this is what we call our idle scene. So if you said I want to add something to that idle scene, I'll wait till it gets there. If I want to add something to that idle scene, I say, right, I'm going to add it to this scene and I want it to go on wall 3, which is this one. So the walls are 1, 2, 3, 4, but you can see that in the tool. So I'd say I want it to be on wall 3, and then you get to position it exactly where you like. So you can get to decide the percentage width, height of it, and how far from the left and how far from the top. And you actually get to see what it looks like on the wall, so you see what the background will be. So for example, you wanted to put something that would look like it was standing on the grass there. You could do that because you could see what the background would look like. And for each scene, obviously, you do 2 things. You create and we'll go through this later, you create a 360 of which you can browse the 360s and see what they look like. You add a 360 in, and then this is the bit I was talking about now. You add a asset onto the wall, and then you get to pick what wall you want it to go on, and then you see a picture of that wall, and then you can decide how big you want it to be, and all this kind of stuff. How far from the left, how far from the top. This one actually isn't showing you the background, whereas actually the tool actually does. This is an old video. So you can build your entire presentation remotely because this is big software that sits on the cloud. You don't have to be in the room to build your presentation. You need to come in here to dry run it, which is what we'll do this afternoon. But we're working on having a 360 camera in the ceiling that actually means you can dry run remotely as well. So you don't have to be in the room, and you can do it at different times of the day.